Good morning, and I must start this 10 minutes presentation with a thanks to Dr. Ganapathy and, of course, the Apollo Hospital for giving me a chance. I'm actually an odd man out, being an engineer, aeronautical mechanical engineer amongst the doctors. And this particular talk, let the slides be on, talks about the use of drones in healthcare. It is a small window, unlike what you've been talking about. You're trying to reach millions of people for healthcare, but this is something for an emergency for that small segment of people who want organs in a jiffy. And this is something to do with that particular window of healthcare. As far as the drones are concerned, we have enough experience in the Indian context. We have drones for the defense, the next one. You can see a snapshot of the drones which we have developed in India. I have just a list of them, and these are all developed in-house and then being deployed by services. But there are several other similar drones developed for civilian applications, and the next one will show a few of them. And so you can see that this was actually all built under government funding, DST and DRDO, a plethora of drones for civilian application. You can see even the flappers or the ornithopters, fixed wing vehicles, multicopters. But what I wanted to tell you, our recent endeavor for the ambulance services, medical supplies, for emergency medical supplies, and we are now trying to look at the drones for possible organ transport. The next one. And you can see that scenario abroad, in the global scenario, you can see these drones, variants of them, being used for almost everything that you can think of. Pollution, mining, disaster. I mean, you can see almost everything that is required in an environment for taking care of the societal applications, including disaster management, has been done. All these things we have been trying to do in India with our technologies, and this is not a big thing. I'll just show you quickly a video clip of how we recently tried to lift organs. I mean, use drones for lifting organs or carrying organs, and also medical supplies. Next one. It is a small little video clip. You can see the first one is the crop spraying agricultural application, where a drone carrying about 5 to 8 kilograms of pesticide is spraying plantation, banana plantation. And there are also drones for monitoring water quality in aquaponds for fish and prawn culture. And then, of course, we have the exercise of lifting medical supplies. And this is a 12-fan copter, a 12-propeller helicopter, and it's just going up. And then we have an exocopter, and you can see how elegant it is. A simple trained person is not an engineer, but a workman who is able to land these things. It was as simple as this, and this is something which we are very happy about. I also have another one, another small video clip, which is basically from next one.
From related to spying and military activities.
CNN video
now
clip
in India,
from YouTube. You can see how a small little packet of medical supply can be lifted without much of a problem and be able to land at a place pre-designated.
Of transporting human organs, cutting time and saving precious lives. For longer time, they are the most viable for long-distance drone transportation.
Well, actually today. Yeah, so next one. If you look at the scenario abroad, we have quite a few of these drone applications for organ transport. Australia, United States, and even many European countries trying to their best to make a big endeavor to look at this. This is the first example. The one at the bottom here, left here, is the Chinese attempt, and you can see it's a manned one, which means it can carry about 100 kilograms of payload, which is very good for an organ transport situation. And we also have the Canadian and European Cassidian Tannen helicopter, which can take, for example, 50 kilograms and about 50 kilogram payload and 180 kilometer of range, which is a good option, a viable proposal for organ transport. I can push this from Chennai to Vellore to Bangalore, and that is very easily done with this technology. And therefore, the next one. We have, therefore, our own attempt initiated, and these are the few examples. Apart from the payload, range, and endurance, we need to look at weather capability, all-weather capability, safety, reliability, and more importantly, we need to look at the DGCA regulations that I think we need to have initiate a big dialogue. Next one. And you can see the limitation of the existing quadcopters or multicopters is the batteries. They don't allow you to fly more than 1 hour of endurance. But we have a novel concept coming up. We push this IC engine to drive generators, which will continuously energize the batteries. And I think there's no limit with reference to the range. And so this is what's happening. And this is not a novel idea. In fact, there is a Spanish vehicle, which is shown below, which is what we're trying to do. And therefore, in about a year's time, we should have an endurance of at least about 5 to 6 hours without much of a problem. Lifting about 25 to 40 kilograms is going to be indeed a reality. We also have technology which, with an helicopter, which is an unmanned helicopter. It's being attempted in defense establishments. We have developed this helicopter here or below, and these two experiences, I'm sure, should result in a dream helicopter which can do this organ lifting from one hospital to another one pretty soon. This is something important because vehicle is one issue, but what is important is the container. The organ container. Today we have a picnic box filled with ice. The heart is, for example, packed, is sanitized, and is transported from a simple picnic box or a plastic box. And there are variants of them, but this we need to be doing much better than this, because the heart in this container, I believe, it can last about 3 to 4 hours, but we need much more time. If you see the next slide, this is what you're trying to attempt. A 3-hour capable container, very lightweight, can be carried on a helicopter, the unmanned one. But what we are planning is a dream. If we can do this and miniaturize that system, there I was showing the right, it is actually an active heart. It is warm. It is supplied with blood pumped at the right temperature, and it is kept alive throughout the journey, and therefore it can last about 12 hours instead of 3 hours. It's a big, big dream. Some of you may not agree with me, but this is just happening on the ground, in the lab. But why not miniaturize it and be able to carry in an helicopter? Is something which some may say it's a foolish attempt, but I think it's just possible. So this is what we're trying to do. Can we contain this? Can we make this smaller and be able to take on in an helicopter, an unmanned helicopter, across the range? And there are couple of issues, which is the IT-related issues, and we are trying to move much beyond visible range, and about 150 kilometers. And therefore, what happens if there's an obstacle? In an unknown territory, in an unknown ground, if you're flying, we need to be able to look at the obstacles, avoid them, and also we need, therefore, vision-based navigation. And if the GPS is denied for some reason, whether or you're flying through tunnels, for example, or between mountains, then we have a possible GPS denial. And therefore, we need to be tracking the route of this, see that visually at this station. And therefore, we also have to have emergency landing because we're carrying a precious cargo. We don't want to lose them. Patient is there in the other hospital waiting for, and therefore we need to make sure somehow it should be airlifted. And therefore, these are some of the issues. Therefore, there are 4 difficult areas to make these drones being able to operate, lift organs from one hospital to another one. Funding is not an issue, as long as it is possible. I mean, it is a viable proposal. But the cost of technology and operation should be minimized. It should be affordable. And this is something which we are trying to do. In my opinion, technology is not a big deal. Payload, range, endurance, control, and cost is possible because we have got the backup experience in the country. And therefore, that is not an issue. But the issue is logistics. We need to have trained pilots. We need to have people from the hospitals trained to run these machines. And we also have to have the mechanics, the medical technicians being able to handle these issues. One has to load it, one has to lift it, and unload it there, and take it to the operation theater. And this is something which we need to do, and it's not impossible. If you have a mindset, we can always do. There is one catch in the whole thing. Today's DGA policy doesn't support the drones flying all over. And therefore, we need to look at rules and regulations. There are ethical and legal issues, certification and safety reliability issues, and therefore, we need to have a separate chat. I'm sure for a hospital, for emergency, for healthcare, DGCA will be able to, we should be in a position to understand our needs, and I think that will happen. So in my opinion, there is no big deal in handling, in conceptualizing, in realizing this drone system for a very small, narrow window organ transport situation. And I think we need to, the cooperation, working together of hospitals and the engineers. We have been working on our own. I think it's not a good idea. And pretty soon, we need to have a brainstorming sessions with all the hospitals and see what exactly they want, how they can implement these things, even if it's available. I think that brainstorming session and a separate workshop for this issue is something which I think we must encourage and get going. I once again thank Dr. Ganapathy and the Apollo Hospital for giving me the chance. I'm pretty certain we'll have a workshop on this exclusive topic separately pretty soon. Thank you. Thank you very much.